if you could maybe just tell me a little bit how you got into tech investing, and blitzscaling.
Yeah, so there are a couple of threads that came together in my life that brought me here, and it goes all the way back to childhood. So I happen to be the son of a scientist and engineer. My dad has a PhD in electrical engineering from UCLA, and he worked for NASA at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and also in industry in the semiconductor side. And so I grew up around technology. We had an Apple II back in the days when an Apple II was insanely expensive. And we had a portable computer when that meant something that was the size of a suitcase that you would carry around with a handle. Because again, my dad was a technology enthusiast. So I got a chance to be in on some of these trends relatively early on. And I had no intention of being in the startup world. I had no idea what the startup world was. I literally did not think about the fact that a company made this magical Apple II that we used. I just used it to play video games and write things and so on and so forth. And so when I went to Stanford University for my undergraduate studies, I again didn't think about the startup world, but I studied things I thought were interesting, like product design engineering and creative writing. And these are just things I studied because I thought they were interesting, and in part because I was pretty sure that studying creative writing was not a good way to set yourself up for a financially secure future, and that it would be better to do other things as well. And it was only towards the tail end of my time at Stanford that I became aware of this startup world. And that's because I was graduating from Stanford in the mid 1990s. I was part of the first class that had email. And it was something that was not assigned to us when we were freshmen. We actually had to go out of our way to get it, but we could. And then starting in our sophomore year, they did assign email addresses to us. So we were a part of the internet's very early days, at least on the commercial side, including, using the pre-Netscape web browsers, the pre-Mozilla web browsers in the form of things like Gopher and Waze and things like that. And so at the tail end of my college career, I became aware of the internet, and I thought this was going to be huge. And I wanted to get into it. And I ended up getting the opportunity to join D.E. Shaw and Company, a very famous, if secretive, hedge fund that Jeff Bezos worked for before he started Amazon.